And we are back, continuing our AMC movie talk 24 hour. We're now into hour 2. We have made it through the first hour. We're back for hour number 2 of the AMC 24 hour live marathon. Just to remind you guys, we are now in the segment where we're going to be talking about our top 20 films of 2013. And before we go on, I just want to remind you guys that the whole reason we are doing this 24 hour streaming marathon is for this right here, www.crowdrise.com/AMC Movie News Philippines. As most of you know, last month, the most powerful typhoon in recorded history hit and devastated the Philippines. And they need help. I mean, a lot of it. And we thought we wanted to do something good and harness all of our power as film fans to try to make a little bit of a difference. Our original goal was to... Oops, I got my... the relapse going. We wanted to... the original goal was to raise $3,000. I thought, man, if we could raise $3,000 by the end of the marathon, that would be awesome. We're closing in on $10,000 thanks to you guys. So let's hit that. Let's blow through it. And there's where you go to make your donations, guys. Please go and donate and help. Now, we are ready now to move on with the next part of our stream. The next couple hours, we're going to be talking about the best movies of 2013. I want to introduce the people joining me right now. First of all, sitting to my right, of course, is AMC Movie News editor Amy Rose Eisenbach. Hey, Amy Rose.
Hey, guys. Happy New Year.
And, of course, our very own Dennis Zen.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I haven't seen you guys since.
I know. I was going through withdrawals.
Yeah, we literally, I haven't seen them until about 5 minutes ago because I've been in Canada. We've all been off doing our things, and they just walked in the door. But we got work to do. We're here to talk about our favorite movies of the year. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump in. But remember, once again, guys, please, there it is there. Donate. Donate. As we're sitting here doing the show, hop on over to that URL and donate to the Philippines cause. It's going to a very, very worthy, great cause. So we're going to talk about the best films of 2013. I got to tell you, 2013 for me is a lot like what happened in 2012, where it's like, as we approached the end of the year, I thought, okay, it was an okay year for film. And then I started to put together my list for my favorite films, and I realized, wait a minute, there was some great cinema this year. There were some excellent movies this year. Mm-hmm. So, Dennis, why don't we start with you? We'll run down the top 20 with you. Let's start at number 20 and work our way up to number 1.
I kind of separated my list up into kind of like the kind of the more fun films in terms of genre, like comedy, sci-fi, fantasy, and all that stuff, action. And then I had like my dramas list. So I'll run down for my genre list first. So
okay, sure thing.
My 10th one is Iron Man 3. Sorry guys, Man of Steel didn't make the cut. It was between Iron Man 3 and Man of Steel for the 10th spot, and I just went with Iron Man 3, maybe just because it was a little bit more fun in a sense. Like, Man of Steel had a lot of great action and a cool story, but I think in the end, I probably liked Iron Man 3 just a little bit more. I know both people, there's two camps that hate Iron Man 3, and there's a camp that hates Man of Steel, and there's a camp that loves Man of Steel.
Coexist? Yeah, I liked both.
Yeah, so... That's my 10th. And then number 9 was Kick-Ass 2. I actually thought this was an underrated film. I thought it was funny. I thought it kept the same tone as the first one. It's not quite as good. The action sequences aren't quite as memorable.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was underrated too.
Yeah.
But I really did.
There was a lot of hate for the movie, and I watched it. And I was like, I actually really liked it. I liked, while we didn't have Nicolas Cage as Big Daddy, we had Jim Carrey as Colonel Stars and Stripes, and I thought he was good.
But you know what? Why I think a lot of people, because I think most of us, even those of us who really like the film, I think most of us will agree it wasn't quite as good as the first Kick-Ass, and so they kind of instantly react. Well, it wasn't as good as the first one, therefore I don't like it. It's like, no, it can be not as good as the first one and still be really good.
And the turning point, in both films. I feel like in the first one, it was very organic to the story. And then with his dad, like, it felt forced, like they were just trying to throw a climax in there. But I thought it was a really great film. But it seemed to follow the formula a little bit, just a little weaker. But it was still great.
Yeah. And number 8 is the Wolverine. I really liked it, despite the ending that we all kind of complain about, where that kind of went into that cliche area, like ha ha ha, he was the villain the whole time, like big deal. But up to that point, I thought we got to see Hugh Jackman as the best Wolverine that there's been.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
I felt like some of that was missing in the previous Wolverine movie and X-Men movies of the past, because maybe he didn't have that much screen time. I mean, he had a lot of screen time, but he still wasn't the main focus for the other X-Men movies. So I think this is the first time we got to actually feel that, like, kind of like berserker.
That's what I was going to say. I felt like this was the first one where we actually got to see the berserker rage of Wolverine that we haven't really seen in the other films yet.
Yeah. And let's see. 7, Anchorman 2. I thought that was pretty hilarious. I wasn't laughing from beginning to end, but
there's some good laughs.
I laughed 70% of the time, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
If a movie
70% of the time, it's hilarious all of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the end sequence, I don't want to spoil it, but there's an end sequence that is just absolutely hilarious.
I loved this movie. I really did. I thought it was great.
And let's see. And then Thor 2. Thor 2, I thought was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I liked it more than the first one. I think the action sequences were better than the first one. And then I think we got to see a little bit more of Thor in different dynamics with different people, and Loki, of course.
Loki, of course.
The main complaint was that the main villain, I forgot it, Malekith, wasn't that strong, and I agree with that. But the fact that we did have Loki in there, that was his partner, but at the same time antagonist as well, and the way that it ends for like leading up to another sequel with him being, we don't know if Odin's
with Odin
is dead or not. I hope not, just because
I don't
think he is.
I figure if they were gonna kill him, that they would show it. They'd want to show a big scene.
There's a plot happening.
I feel like he's like in a prison somewhere. Yeah. And let's see. Then I have The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug.
Smaug.
I always forget how to pronounce that. I thought it was a lot better than the first one. I think the pacing was a lot better. Action sequences were more memorable. Mm-hmm. The barrel scene. Smaug scenes at the end, better character motivation.
Oh yeah.
For Thor and Oakenshield, and for Bilbo as well.
Right.
Let's see here. Also, Hunger Games: Catching Fire. Mm-hmm. Another example of where the sequel fixes a lot of the problems of the first one. I did like the first Hunger Games.
Mean a little less?
Well, not only
a much bigger budget.
Yeah, I mean, not only the money though, but I felt more the games. I just felt like we didn't have what was it? Those virtual pit bull dogs that were running in the first one.
And that was a shame because in the book they were fantastic.
Really?
Those, because they were the old tributes that died. And so they came back and they're like, those eyes, I recognize those eyes, or the hair, whatever it was. But that was completely missed in the film. Mm-hmm. It was just cheesy. But in the book, that was like, oh wow, they're really messing with them. It was good. So that's just an example of sometimes things are lost from the page to the big screen, but sometimes they're enhanced. I actually thought the second film was better than the second book. Which very rarely happens for me.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And also, I think the relationship between Katniss and Peeta is better explained, because in the first one you actually think it's a romance.
Yeah.
And then in this one you find out it really wasn't. It was kind of like a ploy, and now there's all these kind of confused feelings.
Oh, love triangle going on.
Yeah. Then
what number are we at?
I am at number 3 of this particular list.
Of genre films.
Films, yeah.
I did the same thing, so we can do my genres if you want first.
Yeah. This Is the End. I thought it was hilarious. My favorite comedy of the year.
Loved it.
I just rewatched it again the other night. It's just, it's one of those things where, when you see the trailer, because it looks kind of low budge, you know? But then when you actually watch it, you're just laughing, that was like a 90% of the time.
Oh, it's so good.
That I was laughing at.
We're in the A status now, huh?
Yeah. And then number 2, I have Star Trek Into Darkness, a movie that is. It's weird that it was so quote unquote controversial, at least from like the geek standpoint, because you have people like me, and I think you two really liked it or loved it as well. But then there's this contingency, worst Star Trek movie ever. Like, seriously, I'm like, have you seen Insurrection? That's a terrible, terrible movie. That couldn't even fit on the like, you couldn't even make that an episode. Yeah. That's how bad Insurrection is. But you have a hardcore fan base that says, no. Star Trek Into Darkness is the worst Star Trek movie ever. And I just don't get it. I think it's more of a because it's different than what they know type of thing.
I had a great time in the film. I love JJ at the helm. I think he's great with this.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. And then, of course, my number 1 in the genre is Pacific Rim.
Saw that coming.
Yeah. There's plenty of flaws with the movie. You know, the plot's not the best.
The acting.
There's a bunch of like issues with it. But I had the most fun with this movie. I saw it, I think, 3 times in IMAX. And every time, like, I couldn't stop smiling. So, that's my number 1 genre film.
So run down the 10 again, from 10 to 1.
Iron Man 3, Kick-Ass 2, The Wolverine, Anchorman 2, Thor 2, The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, Hunger Games, Catching Fire, This Is the End, Star Trek Into Darkness, and Pacific Rim.
Good list.
All right, so let's hit your dramas then.
My dramas. At number 10, I have American Hustle, which I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I had heard a lot of good things about it, and when I watched it, wasn't quite as good as I thought it was going to be, and that might have been because of the hype. And then 2, I had just seen Wolf of Wall Street like 2 days before, I think. And David O. Russell is doing his Scorsese impression with American Hustle, you know? So he's doing it, and like when you see like the real deal Scorsese doing his thing and then seeing someone trying to like do an imitation of it, like he did a pretty good job, but it just wasn't quite there. But I thought the performances were great. I thought the second half was really, really strong. I think maybe if the first half was as strong as the second half, I probably would have liked it a lot more. But I think it took me a little while during the movie to get into it.
Okay.
Number 9, Her. I just watched the other day. I thought it was great. Spike Jonze, big fan of his.
Well, let me ask you this, because somebody asked, one of the questions we asked in the first segment that somebody asked is, what would you think about the idea of a Scarlett Johansson getting, because there's some talk going around of Scarlett Johansson getting a Best Supporting Actress nomination for that. What would you guys think of that?
Personally, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't think she is going to.
She's not going to.
I think she did a great job. The only problem I have with, and it has nothing to do with her performance, and it's just a kind of a fact of who she is. For the context of the movie, you kind of don't want to know who that voice is because the character, Joaquin Phoenix's character, what's his name, Theodore Twombly.
Good name.
When he is experiencing Samantha,
right,
he does not have a vision of what physically she looks like.
And we see this babe.
But we know what Scarlett... But so it has nothing to do with her performance. I think her performance was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think her voice fit perfectly. It just happens to be the fact that she's a famous person that we know. They originally had shot that with the actress Samantha Morton.
Yeah.
And then...
She's still credited.
Is she?
Yeah, she's still in the credits.
I think because Joaquin Phoenix's, I think, reactions are all to her, to Samantha Morton's.
They actually reshot the entire film with Scarlett Johansson because he wanted it to be as realistic as possible. But they did the whole film with Samantha Morton and then redid the whole thing with Scarlett. Is that crazy? That's Spike Jonze. He's a true filmmaker.
Number 8, I have Prisoners. I just thought this was a well done, well shot, well acted movie.
Yeah.
I rewatched that with my family over the holidays. People are like, "Why are you watching that for the holidays?" My family is not the Miracle on 34th Street, It's a Wonderful Life, like that. Like, we don't watch like holiday movies or family films. We just watch movies that we think are good.
Mm-hmm.
I already seen Prisoners, and my sister had wanted to see it, so I showed it to them, and they really liked it. Number 7. See, my number 7, 6, and 5 are all kind of in this same area where it's 12 Years a Slave, Fruitvale Station, and Dallas Buyers Club. They're all very heavy subject matters, and they're movies that I think are fantastic. I don't know how many times I could rewatch these movies. I mean, imagine why. Like,
I will never see 12 Years a Slave again.
12 Years is so heavy. Well,
I will never watch Prisoners again. I will never watch 12 Years a Slave again, and I love them both.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so heavy, and so, like, at the end of it, you're like, that was a good movie, but at the same time, you're like so depressed, and you feel, a lot of energy taken out of you.
Yeah.
And so, and the same with Fruitvale Station. Michael B. Jordan was phenomenal. I hope he gets nominated. I don't think he is, because he didn't get nominated for the Golden Globes.
Which is not fully indicative, but it does kind of tell where the heads are at, even though we know the Golden Globes don't matter.
The Golden Globes don't matter at all. But I mean, the thing is,
buzz.
No one's talking about him. Though.
Well, no one's talking about him, but this is one of those things. And this is why I always say that the Oscars is the hardest award to win, period. When you really sit back and look at who else is going to be in that category,
it's amazing.
This year is stacked.
Yeah.
Just like I'm convinced there are a couple of years, especially in the early 2000s, there are a couple of years that Michael B. Jordan's performance in Fruitvale Station, you could have had, if that movie came out in like 2000, one of the early 2003s, he would be a favorite to win. Mm-hmm. And this year it's like, who do you bump out for Michael? I mean, all these, it's a stacked year. It's really unfortunate, but I hope Jordan gets the credit he deserves. Even if he doesn't get that trophy, I hope people will recognize just how good this kid really is.
I think it happened with Butler, too. The Butler came out a lot earlier, same with Fruitvale Station, and I feel like because all these other films strategically released a little closer to the holidays, closer to the, Academy Award nominations and all of that people are almost forgetting how incredible they were, because The Butler was a really incredible film, too.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, and, it's not even on anyone's list anymore, but right when it came out, it's like, yes, and, same with Fruitvale. I feel like everyone's just like, wow, you have to see this film. It's going to steal your heart, and then now it's kind of little, but either way, I mean, Michael B. Jordan, what a performance.
Well, I can't say this about The Butler because it is a bigger budget movie, but with Fruitvale Station, there is the whole thing about, because it's a smaller film, they don't have that budget to do the 4-year considerations and campaign, and some people don't understand, like, when Oscar season comes around, all these studios are making advertisements reminding people, remember, this guy was awesome in this. Remember, this movie was fantastic, and that movie just doesn't have it.
Or campaigning for yourself, like Melissa Leo did for The Fighter. Do you remember that? It was this big controversy. Hey.
All right, so is that your list?
Then I have Place Beyond the Pines.
Okay.
Which I really liked. It's a story of fathers and sons and legacy. Bradley Cooper's great in it. Ryan Gosling's great. But the big star is Dane DeHaan. Dane DeHaan is like Michael B. Jordan. They were in a movie Chronicle together. Two up-and-coming actors that I think will take over that new generation. Maybe 10 years from now, we'll be like, oh, it's Michael B. Jordan, it's Dane DeHaan.
I think Dane's going to be the next Leo.
I think he has that quality. Yeah. So, and then I have Gravity, which was, I don't know if you could classify it as sci-fi.
I think it's in space.
It is in space, but I mean, people go into space.
I know.
That's the funny thing. You naturally think sci-fi, but by literal definition, it's not sci-fi.
Yeah.
So,
But
it
kind of dances on that line.
Yes. Alfonso Cuarón, the direction is fantastic. Sandra Bullock was great in it. And one of the things that it did well was it didn't go too long. It was the length that it should have been, which was I think 80-something minutes.
Yeah.
It didn't have you sitting there and all those long takes fit very well with the atmosphere. And I think seeing that in IMAX in 3D was well worth it. Number 2, I have Wolf of Wall Street, a movie that recently has gotten a lot of controversy.
Oh, so much?
Yeah, when it first came out, I guess maybe because not too many people had seen it. I love that movie. I think it's fantastic. It follows the Goodfellas story arc, but in a different setting. But there's a lot of controversy over the perceived glorification of that indulgence and excess. And I think it's more of Scorsese's presenting it to us, and then we make the decision of, if it's, if you think that's something that you think is a good thing or a bad thing.
He was a bad dude that had a lot of fun and was very reckless and had a lot of money. And I mean, how is that not sexy to people? Of course it is. But they never went and said, Jordan's a god, he's a great person. Yeah. Like, they never painted that. So I think that's a funny controversy too.
And also, I think with something like that, if it doesn't have any appeal, why do people do it? It's like, you can't be like, this is bad. Like, drugs are bad. Well, we know drugs are bad, right? But there is a reason why people take drugs, because they get a certain feeling from them, So it's not, I don't know, I just don't think it's so black and white. But yeah, I love that. And my number one movie is Mud. Matthew McConaughey is having, I think, a banner year this year.
So good.
From Mud, Dallas Buyers Club, 2 movies where he's the lead role in Oscar-nominated worthy roles. And then that scene in Wolf of Wall Street.
So fabulous.
He's only in the movie like 10, 15 minutes.
I wanted more of him.
He was amazing. But yeah, Mud, I thought was great. It's a story about kind of different types of love. And I thought it was well acted and very well directed.
Great. Good list.
All right, good list. So I think instead of going last, I think I'll go second. I'll leave you to clean up. You can usually do that's what they call it, right? In baseball, the cleanup hitter who comes in and knocks it out last. All right.
I am a slugger.
So I am going to, unlike you guys, I'm actually going to run it in a straight 20.
Okay.
But a part of that is I am going to list off some honorable mentions. I got a few honorable mentions, and I do have one cheat. I have one tie.
Oh, no.
And it's not number one, though. Number one is not the tie, but I do have one tie. So first I want to run down some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention, these are films that did not make my top 20, but I do want to mention them. One is Star Trek Into Darkness. Great film, great sci-fi. I'm with Dennis on this. Where the hate from the core old school Star Trek fans come from for this one, I think is ridiculous. This is a great, fun movie. I really liked it. The next is Secret Life of Walter Mitty. This is one of those films that I didn't think was nearly as good as it could have been, but was much, much better than I feared it was going to be. I actually thought it had a lot more emotion than I was expecting. Mm-hmm. And you know what's really odd? I love the guy who is the brother in Step Brothers, and he's in Parks and Recreation, and he's the boss. Adam Scott. I love Adam Scott. Love Adam Scott. I've never disliked him in anything until this film.
It's just the same role.
It was just the same thing. It was the type of character that did not fit into this type of movie. He was a Step Brothers kind of bad guy, because in that Step Brothers world, brought into a different type of world where the character didn't fit. It just felt out of place to me. So that too. But I thought it was going to be worse than that. But it was really quite strong and quite moving in some places too. The next on my honorable mentions list is Kick-Ass 2. Agreed with what you said before. This is a film that I think didn't get the credit it deserved just because it wasn't quite as good as the original, but we forget how good the original was. The original was incredible. Next on my honorable mentions list is Edgar Wright's The World's End. Not up to Shaun of the Dead standards by any means, but I thought this was a really fun film, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Next on my honorable mentions list is Mud, for all the reasons that Dennis just mentioned. Another on my honorable mentions list is Blue Jasmine. Really in the past 20 years, I think one of Woody Allen's best in his past 20 years. And of course, Cate Blanchett is just, she's Kate. So, there you go. And the last honorable mention I have is Don John. For a directorial debut, for Joseph Gordon-Levitt to write and direct and star in this. The performances were great. I thought it had some great heart. I thought it was just really, really well done. So my honorable mentions, once again, are Star Trek II, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Kick-Ass 2, The World's End, Mud, Don John, and Blue Jasmine. That brings me into my top 20. And I should have said this before Dennis did his, but it goes without saying that these lists are subjective. Yeah. Your list is going to look different than our list. And it's fun to debate and all that kind of stuff. Just don't expect to have 1 through 20 the exact same as mine. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your list. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with my list. It's just a list. So, that being said, let's start with my top 20. Number 20, Prisoners. The performances.
Amazing.
Outstanding performances. Heavy film, though. Leaves you feeling like you want to go punch yourself in the face. I mean, that's just the way it is. Number 19 for me is Inside Llewyn Davis. The Coens do it again. This is a really good film. I mean, there are a number of critic outlets that are saying, giving this like best film of the year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it that high.
It's high up for me.
It's very, very good, though, and it makes my top 20 list. If you haven't seen it, you totally should. Number 18, some people are going to disagree with this one. I thought Warm Bodies was much better than people gave it credit for.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
I thought it was a very clever look at this classic Romeo and Juliet story. It was funny. It was endearing. It had the right kind of mixture of a little bit of cheesiness. This isn't a good sign. My voice is already starting to go.
Hour 2, John. Hour 2.
Only 1/12 the way there.
I thought Warm Bodies was just, like I said, heart, charm, really nice reinterpretation of the Romeo and Juliet thing with a modern trend with the zombie films. I thought it was really great and underrated. For me, number 17, Anchorman 2. I laughed from start to finish. There was hardly, and you know what, here's the sad thing, and Dennis and I talked about this in a review that we did that never got put online because the audio didn't record. I forget 90% of the film because I was just laughing from start to finish. I just really, really enjoyed the movie.
There's also parts where you missed some jokes because you were laughing from another joke.
And the audience is laughing,
Yes.
and you missed what the next line was. Yeah,
I fought a Minotaur for you, and I'd do it again. So many good ones.
I got to watch that movie again. Okay, so what's next? Oh, number 16 for me, American Hustle. David O. Russell is slowly turning into a very bankable, and I don't mean box office wise, but a very bankable director. I thought Fighter was brilliant, and I think this is a great follow up as well. I didn't think American Hustle was quite as good as The Fighter, for some of the reasons that you mentioned earlier, but I still think it was a very, very strong film. Great cast, and actors clearly really like working with him. At number 15, This Is the End. This is my favorite comedy of the year. It didn't have as many laughs as Anchorman 2, but it had stronger laughs for me, at any rate. I mean, there were some parts in This Is the End that I just thought I was going to be physically sick, that I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
And I know, and it's one of those films that Anne wanted to just go back to again and again and again and watch. And it's just one of those films that huge rewatchability factor. Unlike, say, Prisoners, but a huge rewatchability factor. At number 14, where was I here? Number 14, Thor 2, The Dark World. I did not quite like this one as much as the first one, but this is the same thing with Kick-Ass, right? But that's just because I loved the first Thor film so very much. I thought Thor 2 was a very worthy sequel, follow-up, the more emphasis on Loki, all that kind of stuff that you guys already talked about. It was a fun time at the theaters for me. Mm-hmm. And I want to emphasize, as we're getting closer to my top 10, that for me, in rating these films, it's not just, which ones have the best artistic merit. No, for me, it's about the experience. Because, artistic films are designed to give you an experience. The mindless action films are designed to give you experience. The thing that films have to give you is an experience. Now, there's a lot of different types of experiences you can have, from emotional experiences that make you feel or think or feel thrilled or whatever. And so each film will have its own unique experience it's trying to give you. And to me, I kind of measure my films by how much of an experience did it give me by the time I left. And so you're going to see some films like Warm Bodies on my list, whereas maybe somebody else will have a French subtitled film, and that's totally fine too if that works for them. But so this is why it's so unique to me. Going into number 13 for me, Pacific Rim. Just bloody hell! Wow! Like every time there's something going on, it's like, wow! You see these giant monsters versus giant robots. It's what we've been wanting to see, and it gave it to us, and it was fun and exciting. Yes, the acting was bad. Yes, it was a paper-thin plot. Yes, it's not going to win any screenplay awards this year. But when it was all said and done, director Guillermo del Toro gave us an experience.
Oh, yeah.
That was just so much fun in the theater. So for me, number 13 is Pacific Rim. Number 12 for me is Hunger Games: Catching Fire. I think this is a situation where the sequel is better than the original. This was not just a good teen, Futuretopia kind of film. This was a good film, period. There was the acting steps it up a notch. I thought the script was better than the first one. I thought the direction was better than the first one. And all due respect to Gary Ross, who directed the first one, but I think the direction in this one was even better.
Francis Lawrence, yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence did such a great job. Everything just steps it up a notch, and it's not just a good genre film. It's a good film. So I was really, really impressed with it. All right, getting into number 11 for me, the new Disney film Frozen. Might be my biggest pleasant surprise movie of the year. I'm more of a Pixar guy now than anything else. And so when an animated film comes out, although, Disney put out Wreck-It Ralph. So I should have kept that in mind, I suppose. But I was not expecting much from Frozen. To me, at first, Frozen just looked like a throwaway, seasonal, Christmas time, Disney piece of schlock. And I walked out singing. The music
was great.
Music was incredible.
Yeah,
I think my favorite music in an animated film since Beauty and the Beast.
Whoa.
I mean, I really like the music in it that much. I loved it. I think Frozen is just a beautiful, wonderful film. All right, so that gets us into our top 10. So starting at the top 10, Wolf of Wall Street for me. I think it's a powerful film. And it might be, for me, I want to be really careful about this because Eating Gilbert Grape was nothing short of ridiculous how good he was in that. This might be my favorite performance of Leonardo DiCaprio. I think there was more range showed from Leonardo DiCaprio in this one, from likable to despicable to fun-loving to paranoid to insecurity to everything. He gave us a range, I feel, in this film that we have never seen from Leonardo DiCaprio before. And I was completely blown away by it. The only reason I don't have this film higher is I did feel it was too long. I felt it was rather repetitive in some scenes. But take those elements out, and I think you're left with a Scorsese film. This is a great movie, and I think it deserves to be in the top 10. And number 9 for me, Dallas Buyers Club. You guys have already talked about this. This is just, it's his year, man. It's the year of McConaughey. And you look at the physical transformation that's happened to him, which you can still see the effects of in Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, his face. That doesn't look like Matthew McConaughey's face. And then, we were at a lunch with him a couple months ago, and he was starting, but even then he still looked really skinny.
Yeah.
But it's coming back, and we're not just talking about the physical transformation. It's a great thing. And the big surprise in the film for me was 30 Seconds to Mars lead singer
Jared
Leto. I think Leto might be as close to a lock in any of the acting categories at the Oscars this year as they come. I think he's going to win.
He deserves to.
Yeah, and once again, it's a stacked field. But I think out of any of the acting categories this year, if you could call luck, I would call him maybe a luck. Fassbender's going to be a huge contender for that as well. But
I'd say Jared Leto is the front runner in that category.
I think he's got the steam behind him.
Everyone's talking about.
And it's a film that the Academy is going to want to support too,
Yeah, and for good reason. It's a great film.
It's a great film.
Okay, so that was number 9, Dallas Buyers Club. For me, number 8 is Fruitvale Station. We were talking about this earlier. I was late to the party for this film. I think everybody had already seen it before I did because, quite frankly, I didn't think it looked very good. I thought it looked boring. And then everybody, especially Chris Lee Kennedy, kept raving and raving about it. And finally I went, all right, I'm going to go see it. We got to see so many movies. I like to skip a couple now and again if I can. And I thought Fruitvale Station was going to be ones that I could skip. Damn right I shouldn't have skipped that one. This is a great, Michael B. Jordan. It's just unfortunate the year. Mm-hmm. It's just unfortunate. Michael B. Jordan, mark it down. This dude is going to be a superstar for years to come. On his way. For years to come.
He's so humble too. Have you ever seen any interviews with
him?
him?
Oh yeah.
So
no,
humble.
I've spoken with him.
Yeah.
He is genuine. He is sweet, but he's incredibly gifted and talented, and he's got leading man looks.
He's sexy.
He can do comedy. He can do drama. I'm telling you, we will hear his name every year for the next 10 years.
I hope so.
Every year for the next 10 years, and he deserves it. And this film deserves a lot of credit. Going into my number 7, this will surprise some people. Fast and Furious 6.
Shock.
Fast and Furious 6.
That was a fun movie.
And I will fall back again to what I was saying before. I judge these films by the experience I get coming out of them. And I cannot deny. Look, I didn't want to put Fast and Furious 6 in my top 10 because I know people are going to look at it and guffaw, but I got to be honest. The experience I had coming out of that film was hyped. My adrenaline was pumping. I was excited. I had laughed a lot. I had jumped out of my seat a lot. I had cheered a lot. This film was a great experience. Ain't going to win any Academy Awards for acting or script or anything like that, but the film delivered. And I loved it, and I watched it again. And so if I'm not going to be disingenuous and I'm going to be honest with everybody, then I have to say I'm going to put Fast and the Furious 6 in at my number 7 spot. And this raises a point. I was talking to, I'm not going to name names, but I was talking to a colleague of ours who was talking about, we were having a private conversation about his top 10 favorite films of the year. And we were just talking about, and there were one or two of them that I was surprised, but happy to hear him put in his top 10. And then I watched and read his official top 10, and nowhere were those films to be found.
Yes,
because
I think I know. I think I know who you're talking about.
You probably know who we're talking about. And it's just, and film critics do this. They go, okay, when I put on my list, I got to put what people think should be on the list, and I don't do that. I'm going to if I'm going to take flack for putting in Fast and Furious 6, then give me flack. But I got to be at least honest with you guys and tell you it's supposed to be there. Okay, so that was Fast and Furious 6. Number 6 for me, Saving Mr. Banks. Loved this film. It wasn't the film I was expecting it to be. You guys know, it was one of my most anticipated films of the year. Mm-hmm. And it turned out being a completely different movie than I thought it was going to be. And yet I loved it. I mean, I forgot Colin Farrell was in it.
He was amazing. That's
so
another
good.
Contender.
Yeah. Amy Rose said he was amazing. That's another contender for those of you who couldn't hear her because she's talking into her water bottle. But it's, and you watch the commercials, Colin Farrell is never in any of the commercials. No. If you just watch the commercials or the trailers, you wouldn't even know Colin Farrell's in this movie.
He really did steal the show.
He's in it more than Tom Hanks is. Yeah, and he stole the movie.
Yeah.
And Emma Thompson was unbelievable in it. But it's such a great story. Now, a lot of people have trashed on this movie because they question the historical validity of it, of certain things and elements. And I can't speak to that except to say I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't go to I've said this before, I'll say it again. I don't go to the movies for a history lesson. I go to the movies to watch a movie. And yes, is it nice if filmmakers honor the source material and try to stay as true to life as possible? Yes. I'm not arguing that whatsoever. But when it's all said and done, the experience I got from watching film, I don't care. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not dumb enough and you're not stupid enough to go in and say, well, because it happened in the movie, that's the way it was in real life. No, we just went and watched a movie. And you take that away and just take it as a movie. I thought Saving Mr. Banks was just fantastic. Number 5. Very late to the game on this one. I was late to the party on this one, but Rush. I cannot tell you how much I like this movie. And to me, Rush is Chris Hemsworth's Snitch for The Rock. Because remember Snitch came out and we were like, hold the phone. The Rock ain't just
he can act.
All charisma. He has finally, it's taken him a decade, But after years and years and years of work and being with all the best acting coaches and being in these films and being around all the right people, he has grown and developed. The Rock is a legit actor now. Maybe not an Academy Award-winning actor. Chris Hemsworth. This is the film for me that was like, all right. Now, I know everybody was talking about there's this huge undiscovered talent named Chris Hemsworth when he was first appearing in Star Trek. And people saying, watch this guy. Then he was in Thor, and he was great in Thor, and that's fine. But for me, it wasn't until I saw him in Rush.
He was incredible.
He was solid good.
Yeah.
And the guy who played Nicky Lauda.
Daniel Bruhl.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you had these two guys acting off each other. Ron Howard is a really he's a famous name, but he's an underrated name when it comes to being a director, I believe.
You think he's underrated?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just think he's a throwaway name. Like he's just like he's the Big Mac. Like everybody's had Big Macs, but there's nothing really special to it. And I feel like Ron Howard's name is associated like that oh yeah, it's a very recognizable, very famous name, but nobody gives it much gravitas. And I think he should, because I think Rush was a brilliantly directed film. The pacing was great. What he got out of these actors was incredible. Chris Hemsworth is a guy to watch.
Oh, yeah. Not just because he's hot.
Not just because he's hot, and the talent scouts were right. So getting into our number 4, another Tom Hanks film, Captain Phillips. I was speechless after watching the film. Like I was just kind of frozen and it was such a powerful, moving story. Again, kind of attacked for what some people claim are historical inaccuracies with the events, but again, I don't care. And in the last 10 minutes of this film, if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about.
Tom Hanks. See, I kind of I feel like with that performance, like during the rest of the movie, Tom Hanks is good. He's always good. But the last 10 or 15, that's because I was watching the movie, people were like, Oscar nominated worthy performance. And during most of the movie, I have to be honest, I didn't think anything
That's
of
what
it.
I told you. Last 10 minutes.
I was like, well, he's just Tom Hanks. He's doing his thing. But then, yes, the last 10, 15 minutes was, that's the Oscar-worthy
And you know what? The understated way he plays the first 3/4 of the movie is what sets up that jarring breakdown of the character at the end. Like if he had played up the emotional level in the first 3/4 of the film, then I have a feeling that last 10 minutes wouldn't have felt as impactful. But he creates this chasm, this gap between this more subdued, even in the face of this controversy, the subdued dude. He played it very well, but he didn't look like he was going for an Oscar in it or anything. But I feel like because he played it that way, that when you got to the end and then you saw this man break, it's like Tom Hanks was like, okay, wait for it. Okay, now I'm going to show you why I'm the greatest actor that's ever lived. Boom! And then drop the hammer on us, It was just...
And it's funny because it's after everything technically is over.
It's like the movie's done, basically,
The climax is done, it's the aftermath, and that's where it all comes out.
The sense of humanity he brought to that, because you could just really feel for him. And I didn't expect to tear up in that movie. His performance in the last 10 minutes made me tear up, and I don't cry in movies very easily. It was just so real. He's magical.
Because when he breaks down without any dialogue, when he breaks down, it's like
he's out of it.
Oh yeah, this guy just went through a world of hell. Yeah. He just went through crap, and I'm just ambiguous to it. I didn't even realize that, but now when he breaks down, you realize, holy crap, the experience this guy just went through.
Together.
Unbelievable. Just so well done. And brilliantly directed, by the way. Hanks just gets all the credit. All right, we're getting into my top 3 now. And you knew it would be in here somewhere. But my number 3 film is a tie. And I'm going to start with the one at number 3 is going to be Man of Steel. Screw all y'all. Man of Steel is a masterpiece. I thought it was great. I love the script. I loved the action. I love the didactic approach they use to the film as opposed to like a narrative approach. They use more of a didactic approach, and that's uncommon. But I found for me it really worked. Like it worked on several levels, and I love this look at the man at Kal-El's mythology. I thought it was a very true rendition of the real Kal-El mythology, brought into a modern context, not the "gosh, gee willikers, I'm Clark Kent" kind of thing that we get in the 50s and 60s. But this is a modern Kal-El with the true heart of the mythology brought into the modern era. I love this comic book film. I still say Avengers is the best comic book movie ever made. So I'm not saying it's the best. Man of Steel is the best comic book movie ever made, because I don't think that at all. But I thought this was a great film, and tied with it at number 3, I'm going to say Gravity. And this was my cheat, because I warned you there was a cheat. I had one tie. It's at my number 3. It is at my number 3. At least I didn't tie number 1. I'm going to actually commit to number 1. But Gravity. Yeah, we can not complain. We can point out not the strongest dialogue.
No.
Okay. Not it. My biggest criticism of the film is it feels more like one of the acts out of a 3-act film, as opposed to a proper 3-act film. Okay, whatever. Once again, the experience. You're wowed by what, Cuarón accomplishes with this film. And some people criticize Sandra Bullock's performance, and I thought Sandra Bullock was brilliant in it. I thought she was great. It's funny, because originally, instead of George Clooney and Sandra Bullock, it was supposed to be Robert Downey Jr. and
Angelina Jolie, I think.
I thought it was Charlize Theron.
I think there was both. I think both of them were
attached at one point.
Yeah.
So for me, at number 3 is Man of Steel and Gravity. At number 2 for me, The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug. Once again, much like Hunger Games, this is a great situation where the sequel is better than the original. It ramps it up the right way, better dialogue. I thought better pacing to the film, better flow. One of my criticisms of the first Hobbit film, and I really did like the first Hobbit film, was that the connective tissue between the scenes never felt natural. That it never felt like there was a flow. It felt a little bit jarring, and it almost felt like there was too much action. Like that whole, in the first Hobbit film, the big battle and the running sequences in the Goblin Caves almost felt unnecessary. Like I felt like you could have just taken that out. It almost felt like it just made it too much and desensitized me to a lot of the other action in the film. So when action was happening, I was like, okay, we've done this already. But with this Hobbit, because it just has a better flow to it, this one has every bit as much action as the first one, but it never loses the potency for me. So, I mean, I was just floored by it. And one of the best cliffhanger endings ever going into another film. Like, can you guys think of another film that has that good of a cliffhanger ending?
I don't know about quite as good, but I thought the Hunger Games Catching Fire had a pretty good cliffhanger as well.
Yeah,
that's true, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think
I'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head.
Because most of the time, movies aren't like cliffhangers. You'll find more in like television shows than movies. Movies, unless they know, kind of like with a Hobbit or with a Catching Fire, where they know they have a sequel and they're gonna end on some sort of cliffhanger. Like Avengers was not gonna end on a cliffhanger. They weren't gonna have the aliens come out of the sky and just be like, "Oh, that's it. Wait till the second part." And you know, people would like complain about that. But for something like Hunger Games or Hobbit, I think the audience already kind of knows that there is something else coming.
Right. And so that gets me to my personal number 1 film of the year. And most of you guessed it on the chat board. It's 12 Years a Slave. I knew 12 Years a Slave was going to be good. And I didn't know it was going to be this good. This is just one of those films that is crafted in such a way that every moment drags you into the next. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Like you're watching a film and you feel like you're now a captive to the film, like you're prisoner to the film. No pun intended on the 12 Years a Slave title. And I have been saying for going on 7 years now, Chiwetel Ejiofor is going to be one of the big names. He is. I've said for about 7 years he is the most underappreciated, underrated actor in the business. Wait till he finally gets a chance to really shine. Yeah. Not anymore, because now I'm telling you, at the end of February, there's going to be an Oscar sitting on his mantle.
I would not be surprised.
No, and I don't think he's a lock by any stretch of the imagination, but
he's a front runner for sure.
Yeah, and like Dennis was pointing out, Prisoners, not a film I can watch again. I will watch it again, but it'll be hard.
Well, you're not going to watch it like every month going, oh, man, that was so much fun.
Let me grab some popcorn and watch 12 Years a Slave.
Well, I'm always going to grab some popcorn.
Yeah. I mean, it's always great when I watch a movie and the Canadian is the hero, and that's always nice. But the performances, you were mentioning, Michael Fassbender was just incredible in it. I thought Brad Pitt, no one talks about Brad Pitt in this film.
Yeah.
I think he was fantastic in it.
I thought he was okay. I love Brad Pitt, but I didn't actually think that role was... like, I don't know, a turning point for his career or anything. How about Paul Dano? He always plays evil, but he's so good at it.
He was in Prisoners and 12 Years a Slave.
He was Prisoners and 12 Years a Slave, and he never got the credit because one of the greatest lead actor performances of our generation was in There Will Be Blood with
Daniel
Day-Lewis. We all forget about Paul Dano in that film.
And he held his own with
Daniel Day-Lewis on screen.
Yes.
He went toe-to-toe with him. He did get overshadowed. But you're getting overshadowed by one of the greatest actors to ever live.
Lincoln. I mean, everyone. There was a
Who
lot
else
of.
is in Lincoln?
There's a lot of fantastic actors in
Yeah.
Lincoln. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tommy Lee Jones,
Ultron.
Sally Field.
Yeah.
But Daniel Day-Lewis, he somehow transported back in time and stole Lincoln's mannerisms and body and came back and performed and overshadowed everyone there.
And even Monica Potter in the role of his wife was amazing. I mean, every performance was so, and Patsy, I forget her name right now. Every performance was so strong in that.
But yeah, Paul Dano is, I don't know how we got off topic on to talk about Paul Dano, but Paul Dano is one of those dudes. I even really liked him in Looper. I thought it was a small role, but I thought he was very good in that. Paul Dano is just one of these guys. He doesn't have the Michael B. Jordan face of a leading man, whatever. But make no mistake, this dude is just packed with talent.
Little Miss Sunshine?
Oh.
He's amazing.
He's just good in everything.
He's kind of a Dane DeHaan to me.
First movie I saw him in was Girl Next Door, though.
I totally forgot about that.
Which is a movie I actually like.
The Tripod. I loved that movie. I loved it. Lisa Cuthbert.
Timothy Olyphant.
His best role ever.
All right, Timothy Olyphant. All right, I'm gonna just remind you and run down my top 20 again. I won't. My honorable mentions were Star Trek II, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Kick-Ass 2, The World's End, Mud, Don John, and Blue Jasmine. And going into my top 20, number 20, Prisoners. Number 19, Inside Llewyn Davis. Number 18, Warm Bodies. Number 17, Anchorman 2. Number 16, American Hustle. Number 15, This Is the End. Number 14 is Thor 2. Number 13, Pacific Rim. Number 12, Hunger Games Catching Fire. Number 11, just out of the top 10, is Frozen. Number 10, The Wolf of Wall Street. Number 9, Dallas Buyers Club. Number 8, Fruitvale Station. Number 7, Fast and Furious 6. Number 6, Saving Mr. Banks. Number 5, Rush. Number 4, Captain Phillips. Number 3, tie, Man of Steel and Gravity. Number 2, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. And number 1 film for me, 12 Years a Slave. And I should mention this. You will probably notice that on my list, one of the films that is missing, that a lot of people are talking about, a contender at least for Best Picture, is a film that Dennis mentioned, was Her. Mm-hmm. I made the decision myself not to include Her on any of my lists for 2013. And totally cool that Dennis did, and totally cool that you will. The reason I did not put on any of my lists is because it's one of those releases that I believe is only in very limited release, that only very few people could have seen, possibly have seen in 2013. I think less than 10% of the movie-going audience even had the opportunity to see it in the calendar year of 2013. Therefore, I made the decision not to include it on my list whatsoever. So in case you're wondering, I'm not dissing Her by not having it on my list. I just made the decision that it did not qualify to me. And so I will, when I put together my 2014 list at the end of the year, I will have Her into consideration for it then. I just made the choice personally, since nobody even had the chance to see it, to disqualify it from consideration for 2013, but I will consider it for 2014. That's just me. So anyway,
couldn't you kind of say the same thing about Inside Llewyn Davis, though? Didn't really play a lot of places.
I think it's had its release. Whereas Her is going to get a wider release in 2014. I don't think Llewyn Davis is. I think it's had its release. Yeah. So it's like, okay, that's what you're doing.
Search it out.
And you did it in the year, but you're right. You still had to search it out. But this is one of those things where they just sneak in a few screenings of it in 2013, so it qualifies for the awards season. But we're not really rolling it out until later.
I did get to see it at the AMC Burbank.
That's right.
16.
In Los Angeles.
I saw AMC Century City.
Which is one of the great things. If you live in Los Angeles, New York,
we get them all.
Yeah.
You get to see everything that comes out anytime you want. So that's my list. It is now time for Amy Rose's list. And look, like I said before, guys, this is going to be the next 24 hours. going to be very different from a normal thing. We're going to be very casual. You'll probably hear phones ring. You're going to see people coming in and out. I'm about to hand over to Amy Rose to start her list while I desperately run and use the bathroom. So I'm putting too much information, too bad. So Amy Rose, let's start with your list, and I'll be back in just a second.
See you, John. Okay, so I also did what Dennis did and kind of made a genre category. Took a little liberties because, again, this year is the most incredible year of cinema in a long time. I stand by that. There were so many inspiring and incredible films, and I'm really proud to be a consumer and a writer about it. So starting with my number 10 of the genre category, Pacific Rim, Guillermo del Toro. I love him. He can do horror. He can do sci-fi. He can do everything. And the acting wasn't great. The script was silly, but just his direction and his visuals was so much fun. It was such a good time. So I could not include that on my list. Number 9, Star Trek Into Darkness. I too don't understand the hate this film received. Like, I just thought it was such a great time, and I think that Chris Pine is a great Kirk. And it was just really fun. I really love what he's done with this property. I did like the first film more in this new generation of films, but I still thought this was a very solid film. Number 8, I have Warm Bodies. I really like Jonathan Levine. I think he's a really great filmmaker, and this film, other than being, a different take on the genre, it had a lot of heart and a lot of really good messages that are very relevant to where we're at in the world, and just, with segregation and blah, 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 blah. So I thought that was a really great film. Number 7, The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug.
So you can say it right.
I
can't.
can.
Every time I try and say it, it comes out wrong.
Smaug. Do it with me.
Smaug.
I just thought this was so much fun. And I agree. I thought The Hobbit was really good. I still, even though I loved Smaug, I still would rate the Lord of the Rings trilogy above these.
So would I.
But I just love Middle Earth so much. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch's Smaug, I'm going to say it as many times as I can for you now, was just fantastic. I love the characters. Again, the motivations. That barrel scene was fantastic.
Yes.
When you can't feel the difference between CGI and like true effects, that to me is fantastic filmmaking. And I think Peter Jackson he knows this world, and we got everything we wanted.
That's the
and
thing.
more.
We didn't get a barrel scene in the first Hobbit.
No.
Like, I don't remember really the action that happened in the first movie, and I can remember all the action that happened in Desolation.
And quite honestly, like the Sam and Frodo duo was missing to me in The Hobbit, because I love their dynamic and their chemistry. So in order to really make the other films without them shine, the ensemble has to be on point. And I thought Thorin and everyone was just fantastic. And I love the addition of Legolas. I don't care if he wasn't in the source material, bring him on. And Evangeline Lilly, Tariel. I thought it was a really fantastic film. I had a lot of fun. Number 6, The Hunger Games. I just thought this film was everything I wanted it to be and more. Visually, it was stunning. Jennifer Lawrence, I will stand by that this is her best performance. Even better than Silver Linings, even better than all these other films. The whole gamut of emotions that she displayed in this, with just a look when the first person of the, when they were making the tribute runs, all the different districts, when the first guy got shot and just the horror on her face. And like, I just thought she was so powerful and beautiful and elegant.
She's having a banner year too.
She is.
She won the Oscar earlier this year for Silver Linings.
Yeah.
You have American Hustle.
Yeah,
she was great in
amazing.
there. And then you have Catching Fire.
Yeah, I loved that movie. I thought it was great. And Elizabeth Banks is Effie. And I had a great time. Number 5, I have Thor, The Dark World. This film was so much fun. It was just so much fun. And yeah, the Loki and Thor relationship is one of my favorite ever in comics. And on the big screen, I think the two of them are perfect for this. And welcome back, John. We missed you. Right. And I just had such a fun time. And I thought that his direction taking over from Kenneth Branagh, Alan Taylor, was fantastic. So he's obviously great at the rich worlds with Game of Thrones. So I thought he was a good fit. Number 4, This Is the End. Laughter is good for you. I was laughing the whole movie. I thought what they did was so clever, playing themselves but not really playing themselves, playing the stereotypes they've become known for, the exorcism of Jonah Hill, like all these things, it was just so much fun and clever, and literally was sci-fi and comedy and slapstick and just like everything together. I've seen it 3 times now, and it really holds up every time. So I really, really loved that film. Number 3, Man of Steel. I loved this movie. I just thought the tone, because honestly, like, I like Zack Snyder for his visual, feat, but I was questioning a little bit. I definitely am
After Sucker Punch.
And I definitely was questioning it a little bit. I was like, Christopher Nolan, I would have liked to see his Man of Steel. I did like that they were partnering, but after I saw it, I really did have such a fantastic time. Michael Shannon is one of the most phenomenal actors to emerge in such a long time, and I loved, again, Henry Cavill and Zod playing off of each other. Henry Cavill. I love when you use one character name and one actor's name. So yeah, I just thought it was really great. I did have a couple issues with the script, but overall, it is the rendition of The Last Son of Krypton that I wanted to see, and I'm really excited for the next film. Number 2, again, this was like the kind of liberty I threw in there, Saving Mr. Banks. I loved this film. I finally just saw it. I was definitely late to the party on this one, and I knew that Emma Thompson was going to be great because she is one of the best actresses of our generation. And Tom Hanks, what can the man not do? But my real surprise was Colin Farrell. I, again, would stand by that this is his strongest performance because he showed us everything, and it was not an easy role. It was a very challenging role. So yeah, I loved this film. And again, John, you've mentioned this, like, a lot of people are knocking it because it doesn't follow the history of it and whatever. And I mean, we've now named 5 or 6 films that are loosely based on historical events that don't follow it verbatim. And if I'm having a good movie going experience, that's all I'm really caring about. Unless they claim it to be 100% factual, then I'm going to have a problem with it. But none of these films have.
No movies do. They never say, oh, this is 100% everything that happens in it. Otherwise, you do a documentary.
Exactly. And now it's like inspired by true events, not like this is a true story. Yeah. Now they do take those liberties. And number 1 on this list was Her. I really do think this says a lot about where we're at. I think Spike Jonze had a very interesting portrayal of just consumerism and loneliness and just what technology has done to our lives for better and for worse. And Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, he's such a special talent. And I did think Scarlett Johansson and just everything about it was great. And some of the smaller, Rooney Mara was fantastic in it. Amy Adams, worst haircut ever, but she was amazing. So yeah, I thought it was a really special film with a lot to say. I didn't have the emotional response that a lot of people had. I didn't bawl like a baby in it. A lot of my friends did, but I definitely thought it was a very solid film. All right, so running down that list for you, John. 10, Pacific Rim. 9, Star Trek Into Darkness. 8, Warm Bodies. 7, The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug. 6, The Hunger Games. 5, Thor: The Dark World. 4, This Is the End. 3, Man of Steel. 2, Saving Mr. Banks. And 1, Her. All right, going into my 10 dramas / whatever else you want to call these films. A couple honorable mentions first. This was the hardest list for me to come up with. I spent so much time knocking some off and putting some back on, and it was just, again, a true testament of the incredible year of film that we've had. And I just feel really blessed to be a part of it. It's very inspiring as a writer above all. So for my honorable mentions, again, that all deserved a place in my top 10, but it was just so difficult. Dallas Buyers Club. To me, this film, other than the outstanding performances, Jared Leto and Matthew McConaughey, that we've touched on, to me, this film talked a very, very, very difficult subject matter without making it a depressing film. And to me, that's really art, because it's not an uplifting story. But I didn't go out of there going, geez, I need a beer. You know, like, I went out there going, wow, like, that was a phenomenal film. So I thought that was really great. Frozen, same with you, John. I was dancing and having a great time in there. Idina Menzel, you're a goddess. And Kristen Bell, I had no idea she could sing as well as she can. The Butler, I thought Oprah, I had, again, amazing performance. Forrest Whitaker is always great. Blue Jasmine. Kate Blanchett, to me, is as much of a lock as it gets with female performances this year. That was her movie. And, you know, one thing I've realized about all the films this year that really spoke to me is that all these characters are very relatable and very tragically flawed. And for that reason, they're beautiful because they're very, very real. And I think that we can all really identify with them. And her character in Blue Jasmine was no other. Captain Phillips, Tom Hanks, Paul Greengrass, amazing duo. Rush, great. And my last honorable mention was Fruitvale Station. I thought the film was really great, but I could definitely tell that, you know, he is kind of a first-time director, but to me the performance outspoke. Not only did Octavia Spencer was amazing, but Michael B. Jordan, like, you, again, I cannot wait to watch your career to continue to unfold. You're a very, very special, talented guy. So those are my honorables, and going to my top 10. Top 10, I cheated like you, John. I was a tie between Wolf of Wall Street and Gravity. To me, those were both really amazing experiential films. Gravity, stunning visual achievement. That was, I got a little anxiety the first shot because I was like, whoa, I'm in space now, And I just think the lighting and the sound, his DP, like, wow. Alfonso Cuarón, he's incredible. And I definitely think the story and the dialogue was okay, but in terms of stunning visual achievement, that's what stole my face. Also, Wolf of Wall Street. Scorsese, while it's not my favorite of his films or even in the top 3, he just knows how to give us a fun ride. And Leonardo DiCaprio, I mean, wow. He is just fantastic. I don't want to give away too much because it did come out not too long ago, but yeah, everything about this, it was excessive. Of course it was excessive, but that was the point. Excess. Exactly, and I don't think it over-glorified him either. I think that, he had a good time. I mean, who wouldn't want that? It was a sexy, elaborate lifestyle, and I definitely thought it was a fun time.
And here's the thing, too, because sometimes you were mentioning, like, the controversy about it, and this is the part I don't understand. I don't want our filmmakers to be our moral guides.
No. Yeah.
Like, Scorsese tells the film from Leonardo DiCaprio's perspective. Mm-hmm. That's the story being told from his perspective. And now it's up to you as the audience member to interpret, engage, and judge what was right and what was wrong and what was excessive and what wasn't, and was it being glorified or not. That's up to you because it's being told from that character's perspective. Mm-hmm. I don't want the director to be my moral guide and tell me what is right and tell me. Just tell me the story and let me decide. And I think that's one of the things Scorsese did really, really well.
I agree. And he just gives us a fun ride, and his shots are gorgeous. And I really love the way he narrated the story, and I don't think it over-glorified him. But hey, who are we to judge? Number 9, Prisoners. I held my breath for the 2.5-hour film. Like, I literally, the whole movie, I just thought it did such an incredible job at keeping you on the edge of your seat, and the performances were fantastic. The tone was really dark and gritty and awesome, and I just literally was holding my breath. I kept laughing at myself because I realized I was holding my breath, and that to me is good filmmaking. Number 8, 12 Years a Slave. Steve McQueen, he really just knows how to steal my heart and throw it on the floor. He just evokes so much emotion out of me, from shame to this. And again, it's not a film I ever will see again, but it's just so strong. He gets such fantastic performances out of his actors. And, this happened. This is our history, and it's a very important story to see. And his artistic lens, I mean, he's a true filmmaker that has something to say, and it deserves all the accolades it's getting. Number 7, American Hustle. This was a great change from all the dramatic films that were this year, because there were a lot of really depressing and very just heavy films this year. And to me, people are comparing David O. Russell to Scorsese, but I think they're very different filmmakers. Maybe they tackle very similar genres sometimes, but to me, David O. Russell brings you in. Scorsese says, check out this world, but David O. Russell goes intimately into these characters' lives. And that's the difference, in my opinion, of these filmmakers. And they killed the 70s. They completely got the 70s, from the soundtrack to the lighting to the costumes. Everything about it was amazing. And I thought this was Bradley Cooper's best performance. I loved these characters. He's just so good at characters. And I thought it was really great. A really great film. A really fun ride. Number 6, Blue is the Warmest Color. This was a French film that a lot of people have not seen. And it's not just a love story. It's everything. It makes you feel excited and lonely and sad and scared, and every emotion in the book. It's a French film. Adele, the lead actress, I tell you, she will be one of the biggest talents to emerge in a long time. I know she's pretty big over there, but in the States, I mean, the depth and the emotion, and just I want to hug her. She's just so beautiful and inspirational. This film is a must see. It really is. It stole my face. I was gonna see it because I've heard a lot of buzz. Yeah. But
controversy too.
And controversy, yeah, because there's some lesbian scenes in there. But it's not the highlight of it. It really is this coming of age love story, and it's just so beautifully and artistically done. And it's over the span of 10 years, and I could not speak better about this film. Let's see. Number 5, Place Beyond the Pines. Derek Cianfrance is another one of those directors for me. He did Blue Valentine that says, I'm going to hold you here for 2 hours until I'm done with you. And the characters, again, father and son, you talked a lot about this. Same thing. I love how he did 3 separate stories that kind of, all tied together loosely. And I just think he's just such a fantastic filmmaker. And Dane DeHaan, again, stole the film, even more than Ryan Gosling to me, who usually is great. Number 4, Nebraska. Surprise was not on either of your lists.
I haven't seen it yet.
You know what? I regret not giving Nebraska an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it, I think Nebraska should have got it. I wouldn't have had it on my list, but very good film.
Great film. Alexander Payne and Bruce Dern. Wow. I just think this has so much heart, and it's shot in black and white, and it's just a really special film. And again, it has a lot to say. And the relationship of I'm forgetting his son's name right now. Forte. Will Forte. It's a really special film. Really special. Number 3, Inside Llewyn Davis. To me, music is one of the biggest parts of my world and my passion. So I feel like a lot of people like myself, where music is the top of my universe, it really meant something to them. Not only was Oscar Isaac, his voice was just so hypnotic and amazing, but again, this is another one of those characters that is flawed, and he's chasing his dreams, and sometimes you're not going to succeed. And I think that really speaks to a lot of people, especially artists, that are really just trying, and they keep getting knocked down again and again. And, the reality is not a lot of people are going to make it. And I think that, this was a lot more restrained of a Coen brothers film. And I thought that that restraint was just perfection. I mean, this film, I saw it and I was like, I really liked it. And the weeks that have gone by since I've seen it, it's climbing up and up and up my list. It's one of those movies that just becomes, now I loved it. And I just think not only the score and the intimate shots and the folk and everything about it, John Goodman, I mean, this was a really incredible, special film. And again, music is my heart, so it really meant something to me. Number 2, Stoker. Park Chan-wook, another one of those directors that so many people do not know about. And sure, his Old Boy was just remade, which, shouldn't have been happening. But this film, I mean, again, Mia Wasikowska, Nicole Kidman, and Matthew Good, these performances were so phenomenal. His shots all mean something. They're beautiful and haunting, and the story was complex and fascinating. And I knew I was watching art every moment of it. And again, a lot of people didn't see this. It was kind of a little indie that came and went, but he is such an important filmmaker to me. And I just think he really he's again special. I've used the word special 3 times now, but I'm not using it without knowing full well force. But yeah, Stoker, I highly recommend. And number 1 was same as you, Dennis, Mud. I loved this film. Tonally, it was fantastic. The performances, not only was Matthew McConaughey and Reese Witherspoon fantastic, but Ty Sheridan, the kids, and Michael Shannon, his little film, his little part in it, and Jeff Nichols. I mean, he just knows how to build, the mystery and the suspense and just a slow, steady articulation of just his vision. And I thought this film really, really stayed with me. So yeah, those were my films. Again, there were a lot of other films that I could have mentioned, but I didn't want to make my honorable mentions a paragraph. So going down, 10 was tied with Wolf of Wall Street and Gravity, 9, Prisoners, 8, 12 Years a Slave, 7, American Hustle, 6, Blue is the Warmest Color, 5, Place Beyond the Pines, 4, Nebraska, 3, Inside Llewyn Davis, 2, Stoker, and 1, Mud.
And there we go. That is our lists of the best films. Try that again. There you go. Those are our lists of the best films of 2013. I'm going to ask you guys on the chat board right now to throw in, participate with us here on the chat board. If there's any films that we did not list amongst the best, go ahead and throw in the titles there. Throw them in there. And we'll try to address here maybe why we didn't include those on the list. Somebody's saying Mud. I think we all mentioned Mud.
Yes.
Yeah. So Mud was mentioned.
And we both had it at our number 1, so we mentioned it.
Callan Malkel writes, "What about The Great Gatsby?" I'll be honest. For me, Great Gatsby would be on my. I'm about to do most underrated films of the year list and a worst films of the year list. Great Gatsby doesn't fall on either of those for me. But if I were to have a most disappointing films of the year list, for me, Great Gatsby would probably be on the most
It
disappointed
was
list.
disappointing. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't. I felt like there was more they could have done with it. It was more of a visual feast than like a narrative.
I mean, it followed the book pretty closely. I love Baz Luhrmann's style. I really do like how he puts new age music with old school flair visually, and it's quite an interesting contrast. And Leonardo DiCaprio, again, was firing all cylinders. But I just thought, there's so many films this year that were 3 hours long that flew by like that. And that one did drag for me a little bit. And I know that the book did end on a kind of a somber note, but after, all the excessive party and all the lavishness, and then to end it the way it did, it kind of left me wanting more. It kind of left me feeling a little lackluster. So I feel like if he could have tied it up differently, not in a bow because it's a dark story, but a little differently, I might have mentioned it. But stylistically, I do think it was worth mentioning.
Movie Guru is saying, John, you didn't mention Place Beyond the Pines because I thought it was terrible. But that's the best. That's the great thing about movies, right? These learned film aficionados do put it on there.
I missed two that I just saw in the or three. Frances Ha, amazing movie.
Frances Ha was very good.
Greta Gerwig,
And
The Way Way Back.
Way Back was really good.
I loved that movie.
I don't regret. I really like The Way Back
Sam
very
Rockwell.
much.
Amazing.
Didn't think it belonged to the top 20 though. Another one that people mentioned I thought was very good, but didn't quite belong in the top 20 was About Time. I thought that was a nice.
I really
film.
liked About Time a lot.
So that was one that I.
The
had
Conjuring was great for horror. Absolutely.
Yeah. Parkland is another film people are mentioning on there.
I liked.
I didn't see it, but I heard
Solid.
it. Really?
Solid.
I heard bad things about it.
Really,
Yeah.
I thought it was solid, but
that movie came and went though.
Yeah, it
because
came
we
and
were
went
talking
very
about it for a
quickly,
while
yeah.
and did nothing.
Kill Your Darlings.
Someone just wrote. Carrie? No. Absolutely not.
No. Carrie, no.
I think there's some joke ones like Movie 43.
Movie 43. Well, that'll be on another list I have later.
Yes.
Somebody keeps mentioning that Ryan Gosling is overrated.
I disagree.
As a pie maker? Maybe he's overrated as a pie maker. As an actor, he is not overrated. He's not overrated at all. He's a tremendous talent.
Someone mentioned August Osage County. Still haven't seen. I want to see it.
Yeah.
That and Saving Mr. Banks are two movies I really wanted to see before this. I just didn't have enough time.
A couple people mentioning some animated films, Monsters University and Despicable Me 2.
It was good.
I enjoyed both of those movies very much. As a matter of fact, I regret not giving those two at least an honorable mention. I don't think they cracked the top 20. I don't think either of them were as good as Frozen. But
I actually like Despicable Me 2 more than Frozen.
It's very good.
It is good.
It's very. I thought. I didn't think it was quite as good as the first Despicable Me, but it did certain things better than the first Despicable Me, and it made me really excited about the Minions movie. So, I mean...
I forgot Spring Breakers, too. I thought that was a really good movie. Harmony Korine, his style is just so interesting. And that is James Franco's best performance ever. I will stand by that. He was so good.
There's somebody mentioned a film that would be probably my number 3 favorite comedy of the year, which was We're the Millers.
Oh, yeah. That was funny.
That
underrated,
is just
too.
a funny movie.
Yeah.
Funny
Yeah,
movie.
I liked it.
Once again, I don't, for me personally, doesn't make my top 20.
No.
But if I were to, and I didn't put together a best comedies of the year list, but if it did, I think We're the Millers might be in number 3 behind This Is the End and Anchorman 2 for me. I think that would be We're the Millers.
They're writing a lot of movies from last year, like Perks of Being a Wallflower. That was one of my favorites of last year.
Some people are mentioning Now You See Me. I know.
I loved that movie.
I know at least one person at this table
It was
loves Now
great.
You See Me.
It was great.
I thought it was terrible.
I enjoyed it. I wouldn't put it on my.
So you got all 3 parts of the spectrum here. Loved it, hated it, kind of in the middle. So
I thought it was fun.
Pain and Gain. Pain and Gain was a really nice, surprising little film that I think it surprised some people that Michael Bay isn't just explosions and boobs. It not bring on the filthy. Nothing wrong with explosions and boobs, but I thought he showed he's capable of doing more than that. And The Rock, once again, building on Snitch, showed us that he's turning into a legitimate actor.
Yeah, he was really good. And I didn't like Pain and Gain, but there were scenes or moments in it that I thought were well done. Mm-hmm. I just think. I just have a feeling Michael Bay just doesn't know how to put the whole package together.
Django? Come on. That wasn't this year.
Django was last year. Or else Django would have been in this discussion.
Yes.
I think maybe that was a UK viewer, because I think Django came out in the UK this year.
Did it?
I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen some UK lists where like there's movies that we saw last year that are on their list. I'm like, oh.
The Spectacular Now. You're right. That should have been on my honorable mentions. I thought that was one of the best coming of age films in years, and John Hughes would have been really proud.
Don John, I did mention Don John. That was in my honorable mentions list. Really, really nice. Two Guns. I thought Two Guns looked terrible. The Denzel Martin.
I saw it.
It was okay.
It was okay.
Okay.
I did. I thought it looked terrible, and it was much better than I thought it would be, which was okay. So not a bad film. World's End. That is on my honorable mentions list. So I did mention World War Z. Yeah, World War Z was a very pleasant surprise movie for me because of all the drama. For those of you just joining us, we're just kind of recapping our best films of 2012. 2013. Django. What film was I just talking about?
World War Z.
Yeah, World War Z. That I was, because of all the drama that was going on around it, I was expecting it to be, 5 shades of awful. Mm-hmm. And to me, it ended up being kind of a refreshing take on the zombie genre. And I actually thought it was a good film, and I'm looking forward to the next one. The Croods. You know what? There were a lot of people who really liked The Croods.
I liked it.
And I thought it was okay. I did. I don't think it belongs on this list.
No.
Before Midnight, you're right. That deserves an honorable mention. Absolutely.
Red Dawn does not deserve to be on this list. People talking about Iron Man 3. Look, Iron Man 3. Let's talk about this for a second. Talking about our top films 2013, and right now we're kind of in the part where we're talking about why weren't certain films mentioned in our list. Iron Man 3, that did make your number 10, I think, of genre films.
Yes.
Iron Man 3, I think it's safe to say, maybe one of the most divisive films of 2013. Because you get people like me who... I really liked the film. I really liked Iron Man 3. And I thought it was exciting. I thought it was funny. I thought they did some really nice things with the characters. Most people, when you talk to them who dislike Iron Man 3, it always comes down, ultimately when you boil it down, it comes down to one thing. Mandarin.
Yeah.
And how they handled Mandarin. And at first I mocked people who had that problem with it. But I can see where they're coming from. I mean, look, I was saying this. Look, first of all, number one, people say, John, you always say, keep the core essential elements to who the characters are. Then why do you have no problem with Mandarin? My answer to that is because that wasn't Mandarin. If you know anything about the comic books, you know that what they put on screen neither was nor was it really supposed to be the Mandarin. That wasn't him. And they said by the end of the film that he wasn't really Mandarin. That's not Mandarin. So I would kind of mock people who would have that problem with it. But then I watch, those Hitler Reacts videos on YouTube?
Yeah.
That takes that same clip from that Hitler movie
Yes.
and they put in their own. So Hitler reacts to the Xbox One announcement. Somebody did a Hitler Reacts to Iron Man 3. And it was this Hitler Reacts video that made me understand that the people who had a problem with the way they handle Mandarin had a point. And because in the Hitler Reacts video, he makes a point that the marketing for Iron Man 3 promised Mandarin.
Yeah.
The marketing promised the fans Mandarin. And there were people who got excited for Iron Man 3 because of the promise of Mandarin. And then when they go into the film, if you're understanding that part of your excitement is predicated on this promise, and then to go in there and find, we were lying to you, he's not actually in this movie, that made me change my mind a little bit about going from mocking people who had a problem with the Mandarin twist to understanding where they're coming from.
But it didn't change your opinion of the movie. You still enjoyed it.
No, I still enjoyed it because to me, that wasn't Mandarin, so it's not a big deal. But then again, my excitement was never predicated on the promise that we're going to see Mandarin. I was excited because it was Iron Man 3. Yeah. That was quite a crack in the neck. That was an intense crack. Whoa. Oh my gosh. And then so it doesn't change it for me, but I can now understand that for people who did have a portion of their excitement built because of the promise of Mandarin being in the film, and them getting no Mandarin whatsoever, you know what? I go, yeah, I'd be pissed off too. I would be pissed off too. I still like the film. Didn't affect me, but for those that it did affect, I can now see where they're coming from and why they felt that way. But even then, as much as I liked Iron Man 3, and I did too. Wasn't as good as Iron Man 1. It was better than Iron Man 2. But 2 was a bit of a train wreck.
Yeah.
2 was a bit of a train wreck. But so it didn't belong as an honorable mention on the top 20, even though I like the film.
Yeah. Real quick. So we keep getting questions about 42. And I want to tell you that I really enjoyed it. I think that is a really difficult story to bring to life because of how impactful and for just the history of sports as we know it, Jackie Robinson was. And I personally thought Chadwick Boseman was really great. I know that we differ on that opinion. You didn't really like it, right?
Correct.
But I did, so there's your shout out. Did you see it?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make my top 20.
So again, we're the whole...
yeah, wouldn't be on my top 20 or 30 or anything like that, but enjoyable.
Yeah.
See, for me, I thought 42, I would put 42 on that non-existent most disappointing films of the year list for me because I thought they didn't do the story of Jackie Robinson justice, and I didn't think Chadwick Boseman was all that good in it. I thought the highlight of the film was Harrison Ford, to be quite honest. I thought Harrison Ford was the best part of it. I just thought that the story of Jackie Robinson and the character of Jackie Robinson, who he was, deserved better, and I think some people, not you, because I know you don't do this, but I think some people want to praise the film because the subject matter is such sacred subject matter. But my dislike for the film comes from the fact that I believe this was sacred subject matter and they didn't do it justice. But there are people who are smarter than me who watched the film for what it was and enjoyed it quite a bit. and that's the best part about being a film fan is we can have those differences of opinion on it.
I'm also kind of a sucker for sports films. I'm really inspired by them. I am very, athletic and into all of that myself. And I thought it was really uplifting. And that's the story of Jackie Robinson. So to me, it accomplished what I want. And again, it's hard. But yeah, I'm excited. But can you believe he's now about to embark on James Brown? That's a very, very different character.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Chadwick Boseman, who played Jackie Robinson 42, he is next up playing.
Get on up.
Yeah, he's playing Brown. His name is eluding me. The director of The Help.
I see it. Tate.
It's Tate.
What's his name? Tate.
It's a very short name, short syllable name.
I got Tate.
Anyway, the director from The Help.
Tate.
I've met the guy, and I can't remember his name. Dennis, you and I talked to him.
Someone give it to us.
And for those of you in the chat board, if you remember Tate, the director from The Help, who is directing the James Brown movie, please put it in there. Don't make me look it up. Just tell me. Oh, wise and all-knowing chat board, please put it in there. Some people are mentioning the Wolverine. I think you mentioned Wolverine.
I liked that film a lot.
It was a top genre.
For me, the reason it didn't get into my top 20 or an honorable mention is because of the last act of the film, because it was so weak. But the first 3/4 of the film, one of the stronger X-franchise movies that we've had, the first 3/4. The last quarter of the film soured it quite a bit for me, but still, 1 sour, 3/4 sweet equals sweet. I walked out really enjoying Wolverine. And I do think it was the best Wolverine we've ever seen on screen. So I agree with you for having said that. Tate Taylor. Thank you, chat board.
I was halfway there.
Taylor.
Thanks for that.
Sounds like a made-up name.
I know, right?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? A very good director. Did such a great job with The Help. Look at that. Everybody's jumped in saying, Tate Taylor.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, all wise and all-knowing chat board. Hey, listen, before we go on, I got a couple of... I'm going to run down quickly here in a second, and I'm going to get these guys' reactions. I'm going to run down here in a minute the worst films of 2013 and my most underrated films of 2013 here in just a second. But before we do that, I want to remind you that we are doing this 24-hour marathon. We're now into our 3rd hour for one very specific and important reason. For those of you guys will know that the Philippines last month was hit with the most powerful typhoon in recorded history that just devastated parts of that country. And the need is huge. And we are asking you guys to help us out. We have partnered with the Red Cross to set up a donation thing. Every dollar you donate goes directly to the Red Cross Typhoon Relief Fund for the Philippines. Can you go to this link here? www.crowdrise.com/AMC Movie News Philippines. Go there and donate. And here's a little bonus. When you donate, it gives you the option to leave a comment. if you've got a question you want us to address on the mailbag segment of our marathon, leave a question in there, and I guarantee we will address all the questions left for people who donate. So
awesome.
Go over to that link. Click donate. We already addressed about 10 of them earlier today. After you donate, and it gives you the option to leave a comment, put your question in there, and we will get around to your question. And there are some Filipinos who are in the entertainment industry, and what happened was the guys over at Disney and Marvel heard about what we were doing, and one fairly well-known Filipino personality in Hollywood, Dave Bautista, the Beast from WWE fame, and he stars as Drax the Destroyer in the upcoming Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, is a Filipino himself, and he had a few words that he wanted to share with you guys who have donated to the cause already. So here, check this out.
Hey guys, I'm Dave Bautista, WWE superstar, and also starring as Drax the Destroyer in the upcoming Marvel film Guardians of the Galaxy. And more importantly, I am a proud Filipino. So I wanted to personally thank everybody for your efforts and your donations to the Philippines after the tragedy of the typhoon. So on behalf of myself and Filipinos around the world, thank you and mabuhay. Peace.
So that's Dave Bautista thanking you guys for all your support. And I'm just going to check in on this quick to see where we're at. We are currently we're almost at $10,000. We're at $9,929 already. And just remind you, when we started this thing a few weeks ago, when we conceived of this, I thought, wouldn't it be awesome? We set the goal if by the end of the 24-hour marathon, we had raised $3,000. We're at hour 3 and we're almost ready to crack $10,000. Thank you guys who have supported already. For the rest of you, don't wait. Head on over to crowdrise.com/AMC Movie News Philippines and make your donation now. It's going towards a fantastic cause. Now, with that out of the way, I got a couple other lists here I want to run down, and I'm going to ask these guys for their reactions as I do it. So don't cheat. Don't look at my list.
Okay,
I don't want you to cheat because I want to hit you with the names of these films.
I'm excited. Hit me.
And then I want to get your reaction. So I'm going to start with the most, I believe, underrated films. Now, underrated is hard because if a film got lots of critical acclaim, then you can't say it's underrated. If it made huge box office, big bucks, it's hard to say it's underrated. I want to run down some films that got very little critical attention and very little box office attention that I believe deserved better. I believe deserved better box office, and I believe deserved better critic response. And I'm just going to name 5 of them, and I'm going to hit these guys with them, see what they think, and then maybe get some of theirs as well. And they're going to ask you guys in the chat board to list off some of your underrated films. Don't list them yet. Let me go through mine first. Don't steal my thunder, jerks. All right. In my underrated list, first of all, I'm going to say Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Last Stand. Now, for those of you who've been watching AMC Movie Talk, you're not surprised that I'm mentioning that. I really enjoyed The Last Stand. I thought it was a great 80s style, perfect Arnold Returns kind of movie. I thought there was some good humor in it, some nice one-liners, some really cool little action, some nice comic relief. Brilliant classic film? No. But I thought a very good film that bombed. Just bombed at the box office. And nobody really talked about it. And I thought it was a really good little film. What did you guys think about The Last Stand?
I enjoyed it. I thought it would do. I didn't expect it to be some sort of box office hit, but I expected it to do a little better than it did. And I think it's just, the younger generation, like, they know who Arnold is, but they know him from, the old days of Terminator and all that stuff. And he's, I guess...
Bring your microphone up.
Oh, we have, and, we kind of have our new and improved Arnold now, which is The Rock.
Yeah.
He's the new improved, because he can act better than Arnold ever did.
Yeah.
And The Rock can do comedy, he can do action, and now he can at least be passable in some drama. And so I feel like because Arnold is kind of like old school for some of the younger generation, that's why I didn't do so well. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it. I didn't think it was a masterpiece by any means, but it was fun. It just wasn't very memorable. It just kind of came and went. But I do like him as an actor. I think he's charismatic and fun, and it doesn't even matter if he's not fantastic at it. He's got something when he's on screen.
He's got charisma.
He's got charisma. So yeah, I thought it was fun.
All right, the next one I've got on my list is also known around AMC Movie Talk universe as Handshake Gate. Last Vegas. This, of course, is the film with Michael Douglas, Robert De Niro, Morgan Freeman, and Kevin Kline. I keep wanting to call Dave because he was in the movie Dave.
Best movie ever.
Fish Called Wanda.
Fish Called Wanda. Look, I'm a guy who goes to Vegas a lot. I go to Vegas 6-7 times a year. We're going to Vegas tomorrow. Yes. Actually, all of us are going to Vegas tomorrow. And I felt like more than any other film, sometimes you hear the critics or whatever talk about a movie that happens in a certain place, and they say the place was actually like a character in the film. I honestly, and I don't think they ever intended to go this deep with it, but I felt like Las Vegas was a breathing character in Las Vegas. I felt like it was such a key integral part of the movie that I identified with so much of the experiences going on in Las Vegas that it really felt like I was there. I felt like I was there in the town. And I thought it was funny and charming. And was it thin? Yes, it was thin. No doubt. Didn't deserve to be in the top 20. Not going to win any Academy Awards. But once again, didn't do great at the box office. But I didn't think got the critic response it deserved. A lot of critics took a lot of joy in bashing on it. And I can see where they're coming from because it is thin. But I thought it was funny. Thought it was charming. It transported me to Las Vegas. It had some of my favorite actors of all time in it. And I stiffed Robert De Niro of a handshake. Yes. So, I mean, but I thought it was really good. What did you guys think about it?
I
sure did, yes.
I didn't see it, so I have no note on that. But backtracking for 2 seconds, Kindergarten Cop and Twins.
Yeah.
Arnold does comedy.
Yeah.
He did comedy.
I just say he can act. He does comedy well as well. I mean, some of the best parts in like True Lies is his comedic moments.
You saw Las Vegas.
I saw Las Vegas with John. We actually went together to the screen.
That's right.
And I enjoyed it as well. Definitely not like one of the best comedies of all time, but and this was a movie I saw the trailers for that I was like, oh, that looks terrible.
Yeah, the trailers were bad.
Oh, I was like, this is awful. This is going to be horrible. And then when I watched it, I actually enjoyed myself. So yeah, it definitely it brought kind of like it was the old man hangover. Like Grumpy Old Men. It was Grumpy Old Men meets The Hangover.
The Hangover, yeah.
Yeah,
but I agree.
That sounds fun.
All right, so we're talking right now about underrated and underappreciated films that deserve a little bit more credit and a little bit more box office from 2013.
I can't see from here,
so we've already said Las Vegas. We already said The Last Stand. And going from Arnold to Sylvester. Sylvester Stallone had a little action film in 2013 called Bullet to the Head, which to me, not quite as good as The Last Stand, but I will say a lot of the same things about it that I did about The Last Stand. I thought Bullet to the Head had some really good action. I thought it was believable, great. The fight scene between Stallone and Jason Momoa, that was really good. I thought there were some good laughs in the film, some good tension. Was it thin? Yes. Any Academy Awards? No. Deserved to be in top 20? No. But I thought it was a very respectable effort and a very respectable film that I enjoyed watching. Not one of the greats of 2012, but I thought it deserved better. What did you guys think of Bullet to the Head?
I did not like Bullet to the Head. I did like that one scene with Momoa and Sylvester Stallone fighting. Yeah. But I think overall, a lot of the humor fell flat for me, and just most of the story and stuff was too thin for me. Where I had an enjoyable experience with The Last Stand, Bullet to the Head, I was just kind of waiting for it to be over.
Another one I did not see. Nothing about this film was enticing me at all. I thought the marketing was weak, and I just don't know about Sylvester Stallone carrying a movie like that.
I'm going to interrupt us for a second here. Yeah. Thanks to a donation from Revan Supnett, we have just crossed $10,000 for the fundraiser. So thank you guys so much. We have crossed $10,000 in our fundraising for the Philippines Typhoon, more than tripling what our original goal was. Keep giving, guys. Every single dollar that you guys donate is helping people that really, really need the help. So we have now crossed $10,000. The donation that pushed us over the edge was from Revan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Revan.
And to everybody else who's donated already so far.
Did he have a question?
I don't know yet because I have to find that on the other board. We'll go to that when it comes to the mailbag time.
Cool.
But thank you guys. We're over $10,000. Hell, let's hit 15.
Let's do
Yes.
it.
Let's
Woo!
what the hell?
15 is the next goal.
15 is the next
And then
goal.
17 maybe, because that's my lucky number.
And then maybe 17. All right, let me go on to the next. So I've done Last Stand, Bullet to the Head, Las Vegas. The next one is one that I really thought looked awful and kind of sad for a step in the career of otherwise a great actress who has made some bad missteps in her career. But Halle Berry in The Call.
I liked The Call.
I thought The Call was actually pretty darn good.
It was suspenseful.
I'm a big fan of Brad Anderson,
Me
who
too.
directed
Right.
the movie, and I thought it was, other than the last 5 or 10 minutes where it's like what do you call it? They kind of put a button on it. I didn't not that I didn't like it, but I was just like, oh, they didn't have to have that.
He
But
always has little twists like that.
but I did enjoy just the pacing of it
Yeah.
and the creation of tension, and I thought the acting was well done. I also thought that the trailers looked terrible.
but I
was
liked
like,
the film.
I was like, what movie? What decade are we in? Is this like the 80s,
Right?
the early 90s, or something? With her hair and
Yeah, her hair
all
was
that
bad.
stuff.
And let's be honest, it doesn't help. It didn't help the marketing cause for us to look at the trailer and then see WWE Films Presents.
Yeah.
Because, I'm expecting The Undertaker to come out and do whatever. And it's
The Leprechaun.
Leprechaun. But and I watched it begrudgingly. And it's like, as it's going, I'm like, okay. And then all right, I see where
good.
this is going, and
It's good.
It's a really nice little film.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
Abigail
hell of it.
Breslin, she really is good. It's nice to see her all grown up and beautiful.
And she did, and she did a good job. At
Yeah.
first, I was like, I wasn't sure,
Yeah,
but
she was
yeah,
good.
Brad Anderson, he'd done The Machinist.
Yeah, I think he's a great
Session
director.
9, which is one of my. I'm not a horror person, but
Yeah.
it's like one of my favorite horror movies because it's not, it's more like kind of a suspenseful.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right, so we've mentioned The Last Stand, Bullet to the Head, The Call, and Las Vegas as 4 of my most underrated films of the year. And I'm not putting these in any particular order, but if I did have a number one, I might make this one my number one most underrated, underappreciated film of 2013. Once again, doesn't deserve to be in the top 20, nothing like that, just deserved better than what it got from either critical reaction or box office. And it didn't do too bad at the box office. Olympus Has Fallen. Not the other copycat, because you had two.
White
You
House
had
Down.
White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen. I'm not talking about that god-awful piece of garbage that Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx put out. Olympus Has Fallen
I like
with
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler, Morgan Freeman, and Aaron Eckhart. I thought this was a really good. I'm almost tempted to say a great movie. I thought it was, but I'll stop just short. I'll say it was a really good movie. I thought it was much more exciting than the other one. There were some really great. I mean, I'm a violence guy. I'm a
You're
pacifist.
a violence guy.
I'm a pacifist who loves violence, but
Loves punching people in faces.
just love punching people in the face. There were so many cool kills in this, and I just thought it was a really good movie. And I know a lot of critics and a lot of audiences really didn't like it. And so I was late to the party because I was a little bit turned off by the whole 2 of the same movie coming out in roughly the same time. So I kind of avoided them both at first and then watched them both and really turned off by White House Down, but really, really liked Olympus Has
It did
Fallen.
better at the box office.
It
though.
did, yeah, it did
because
do
they're
bad at the
making
box
a
office.
second one. London Is Falling.
London,
or-
yeah,
London
London
Has
Is
Fallen.
Fallen.
I thought the movie was okay. I actually personally liked White House Down
Me
better.
too. Me too.
White House Down was just, it was funny and silly.
Yeah.
And Olympus Has Fallen was a little too serious for
Exactly.
me.
My sentiment is
but I
exactly.
did think some of the action was cool, and I thought Gerard Butler had some good one-liners. But yeah, it was okay.
I thought it was fun, but I agree about White House Down, and I thought Jamie Foxx and Channing Tatum had great chemistry, and so to watch them go through this ridiculous adventure together, I thought it was fun. I actually enjoyed it.
It's funny. And by the way, guys, I'm going to ask you guys now in the chat board to start putting in films that you think should be considered for most underappreciated and undervalued film of the year.
I see one, Out of the Furnace. I think
Yes.
that was one that deserved more acclaim.
Out of the Furnace, I tell you what, Scott Cooper, who did Crazy Heart, he is
Yeah.
such a great director, and I should have put that on my honorable mentions again. There's just so many films this year, but the performances of that movie, Christian Bale, Casey Affleck, even Forrest Whitaker, Zoe Saldana, everyone, Woody Harrelson, phenomenal. And again, this movie deserved more success than it got. I think it hit like 5 million opening weekend. It was pretty
I think because it was
sad.
a pretty downer.
It was a downer.
It was a downer
From
movie.
the moment it started to
Yes.
the moment it ended, it was so intense. But I thought the performances were worth noting for sure.
Some people were mentioning that Olympus Has Fallen is what Die Hard 5 should have been, and actually that's actually not a bad analogy.
I did like it better than Die Hard 5.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be talking about Die Hard 5.
Philomena was good. You're right.
I didn't see Philomena yet. I want to see that.
And Steve Coogan, like he not only co-wrote but also starred in it, and it was a very different.
Look how fast the chopboard's
I
going.
love it. It was a very different side than we've seen. So
some people
are
are saying one of the films that should be considered as underrated was Oblivion. I gotta be honest with you, I was really disappointed with Oblivion. I was not taken with Oblivion at all. There was very, very little that I liked about the film.
I liked it. I just didn't. It wasn't. The trailers made it look better than it actually was. Kind of like Tron.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got in here.
Only God Forgives.
I gotta be honest. I didn't like Only God Forgives.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. But it's also one of those movies.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it
for different reasons that I don't know if I'll ever watch again because it's so
Violent.
intense and just like I don't know. It just makes you like want to grip your seat.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I mean, obviously following Drive is really difficult.
It's
I
way
loved
different
Drive,
than Drive.
but obviously same director, Nicholas Winding Refn, and reteaming with Ryan Gosling. And I just thought tonally and the lighting and just like the essence he created was great. But it's such realistic violence that I was holding myself a couple scenes. I was like, oh my god. So it's not for everyone, but I do think that it was a really solid film.
Some people are mentioning Dread, but once again, that's a 2012
Exactly.
film.
Yes.
Was some people are mentioning Jack Reacher? Was that 2013?
No, it's 2012. I
12.
remember.
That was
I watched at the end of
2012. Or else I would agree about it being underrated because I think that one was kind of underrated. I thought Jobs was terrible.
Didn't see it, but I heard so many bad things.
I was really, once again, another film that's getting mentioned that if I had this fictional most disappointed list, and I know you guys liked it, but I was really disappointed with Elysium. Didn't hate it.
I was supremely disappointed, even though
Oh,
I didn't hate it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't hate it either,
hate it.
but just really let down by it.
Yeah,
I thought it was a
me
huge
too.
step backwards from District 9.
Me too.
Warm Bodies. Well, I got Warm Bodies in my top 20 list. So I don't know if it's for under.
Insidious 2 is weird and awesome. I liked it.
Silver Linings Playbook. Some people are mentioning, but once again, that's a 2012 film. Oz the Great and Powerful. Yeah, nobody's mentioned Oz the Great and Powerful.
And you loved it.
I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Not quite enough to crack it, but here's to me the brilliance of Oz the Great and Powerful. It felt to me like they were making a Wizard of Oz movie in the 1920s. It felt like two things in one because it really felt like this was a bunch of filmmakers and actors from the 1920s making Oz the Great and Powerful. And that really enamored me, really, the whole way through. I was kind of taken with that concept. And I thought it was very good. Once again, not in my top 20, but it made so much bank that I can't put it on an underrated or underappreciated. It just made so much money.
I enjoyed the movie. It's I was worried about it at first because Sam Raimi I think he was coming off of Spider-Man 3. He might have done one movie in between, but the last thing I remember was Spider-Man 3. And also, the way they marketed it was just like Alice in Wonderland, which I did not like. And so I was like, oh my God, we're in for like another Alice in Wonderland 2. But I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right.
Visually.
I am now going to... Now, we only got... For those of you who didn't hear me announce this at the beginning of the show, at the beginning of the marathon here, YouTube doesn't allow us to stream for 24 hours. So what we're doing is we're kind of breaking this up into 2-hour chunks. So we're getting close to the end of this 2-hour chunk in about a little under 10 minutes. We're going to be stopping. We're going to be off air for 5 to 10 minutes only, just so we can start the broadcast up again. And then the chunk that we just did will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch. So people just joining us can watch the old segment or watch us live as we go. Aaron Darling just walked in. Good.
Hey guys.
Come on in here, Aaron. Say hello to everybody.
Hi everyone. Happy New Year.
Aaron will be on with us as we start the next segment, actually.
Yes, I will.
So we will be going off air for 5 to 10 minutes only, so we can just reset and start the next segment. But before I want to take the next 10 minutes, though, we've talked about the best films of 2013. We've talked about some underrated films of 2013. I now want to do the same thing with these guys. I'm going to run down what I think are the 10 worst pieces of crap of 2013.
I won't look at your list so I can react.
Yes. And then I want to hear what you guys on the chat board have to say about this and what you think. But I'm just going to run these down. I got 10 of them here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them because they don't deserve our time. And these are in no particular order. All right. Oh, I do have a number one worst film of the year. I do have a number one. But other than my number one, I do not have this in any particular order for worst films of the year. So here are my 10 worst films of the year in no particular order. The Immortal Instruments, City of Bones.
Didn't see it.
Now, the good news is that they're trying to make another one.
That's good news.
Why is that good news? Because it can't possibly get any worse. That they can only... And honestly...
we've said that many a time. But
honestly, I think... The reason I think it's not so bad, because I remember reading from the studio behind it, they said, we've learned some things from the first film. And I like that, because very rarely... What you'll hear a lot of times is studios and producers and directors get all defensive and say, well, they just didn't understand. Or they just... No, you know what they said? They said... No, we learned from our mistakes. We made some mistakes in that film. We want to correct them. And I always find that encouraging. So while I have this on my top 10 worst films of the year list, I wouldn't mind seeing them take another crack if they're taking the approach that we made some mistakes and we've learned from them. I'm curious to see where they go. Let's see. The next one on my worst of the year list is a film I was really looking forward to, R.I.P.D. Ryan Gosling and the dude. I mean, you got the dude and a cowboy hat and a gun. How bad can it be, right?
Yeah.
Turns out it can be pretty bad.
I didn't see it.
Men in Black ripoff.
You had to know it was going to be crap because they released it the weekend of Comic-Con. You do not release a movie like that where your core audience is off doing something else.
Or interested in something else at the very least. You know what's funny? Because we watched the trailer for it, and I called the trailer just awful. I remember we talked about it on AMC Movie Talk, and I said how bad the trailer was. And I ran into the vice president of Dark Horse Comics, who's a friend of mine, who's actually a really good dude, and a friend of mine from Dark Horse Comics, who ran into me at comics like, hey, thanks for your glowing recommendation of our R.I.P.D. trailer. It's like, dude, I'm just calling it like I see it.
Yeah.
And I like Dark Horse, and I look forward to other projects they do, but this one fell flat, and I think they know that. Another one on my worst films of the year list is A Haunted House.
I didn't see it.
Another one of those
Proud to say I didn't
awful new generation of spoof movies that just do not work.
John, you like to torture yourself, don't you?
I know. Let's see, another one. I have it on this would be my most disappointing film of the year, but I also thought it was just terrible, was Gangster Squad.
Oh, horrible movie.
I was so disappointed.
Which, considering it was in my top 10 most anticipated films, I believe, was Gangster Squad, and it was just awful. After Earth is on my worst 10 films of the year list.
I don't think it was awful. I don't think it was great, but I don't think it was one of the worst. Because visually it was pretty cool.
I thought it was bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
My expectations were on the ground, so...
I was hoping, I actually was hoping it would be worse. I was like, oh, Last Airbender, The Happening. And it was just bad, not that bad.
And I don't think Jaden is the worst actor ever, like everyone is talking about either.
No. He's shown he's got potential. Yeah. I actually like Jaden Smith in Karate Kid.
Yeah.
I thought he was very, very good in that, actually.
He's hit and miss, though. I mean, he was terrible
but he's young.
He's
growing. What was that one movie?
Anything else he did?
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
He was terrible in that.
Let's see here. We've got Battle of the Year, which was every bit as bad as I thought it would be.
Why did you see that?
Is that the one with Sawyer in it?
It is the one with Sawyer in it.
It's the dancing one, which I usually love, but it just looks really bad.
Yes. Let's see here. The movie that celebrates beating women. I mean, Chris Brown was in it. Everybody knows what I think of Chris Brown. Anyway.
If they didn't, now they do.
Now they do. Let's see. A Good Day to Die Hard is on there. I actually saw the trailers, and I'm guilty. I thought the trailers looked pretty okay. And then I went to go see it. I was like, no, why is this so bad?
Yeah, I thought the trailers were fine.
Then we are on to the 9th film on my list, or 8th film on my list, I should say, for worst films of the year was White House Down. But you guys already said you actually preferred it to Olympus Has Fallen.
It was fun. So, I don't expect a masterpiece with those kind of films.
There's something about Roland Emmerich.
There is a guilty pleasure element to Roland Emmerich.
Like his Independence Day and was it 2012?
Yeah.
There's just something like it's cheesy but kind of fun. That's kind of like the difference between him and like Michael Bay. I don't feel like Michael Bay's movies are fun necessarily, where Roland Emmerich has either intentionally or unintentionally has this humor to it that I like. The whole scene with the girl waving the flag
it's ridiculous.
I was dying.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like it's fun. Exactly. I don't expect anything brilliant there. It's just fun.
What
Let's
number
blow
was
up
that?
the White
Number
House
3?
That was
again.
the 8th. These are in no particular order, so that's just the 8th.
Okay.
My only one that is numerical is the number 1. But before that, the 9th film on my worst films of the year list, once again in no particular order at this point, was Old Boy.
Really?
See it.
I didn't.
Yes,
think it
you
was as
did.
awful.
Didn't you see? Oh no, that was
No.
that was me and Soul.
You
and
hit
Ryan,
me
that's
up,
right.
and
That's
I
right. I
couldn't
wanted
make
you
it.
to come with us. The new Old Boy. And I thought I was guilty. I thought this was going to be pretty good. I thought this was going to be one of those films. I think there are many films that prove that remakes can be done really well and be made great. This is one of the films that works against that. This was a horrible, awful, terrible movie that, I mean, the only semi-redeeming quality about it was that the performance of Elizabeth Olsen wasn't all that bad, and we got to and we got to see her
amazing.
naked. Hey, she's
And she's got a banging body for sure.
There's no denying she is amazing. She is amazing.
She's
but
amazing.
even the most amazing, even Steven Spielberg has a bad day at the office, and this was not her best day at the office. Although she was good enough to be the highlight of the film.
What did you think of Copley?
He's Copley. He's always great because you always give him this weird kind of twisted
menacing,
character, and I thought he played that well. Josh Brolin, I've been saying for a while, I'm not a big Brolin fan.
I think he's
but
great.
I thought Old Boy was going to be, and I said this on the show, I said, I think Old Boy is going to be one of these films that turns me around on Brolin, and I thought Brolin was terrible in it, and the direction was bad. It's just an awful...
I was in the camp that I was just like, why are you remaking this classic? I mean, you just heard my thoughts on Park Chan-wook, who directed the original Old Boy as well as Stoker, one of my favorite films of the year, and I was just like, don't remake this. This is a masterpiece. It's so weird and so disturbing and so fantastic, and I was really not into that, but of course Spike Lee was going to do it, and my expectations, again, I feel like that's really how I approach films like this. My expectations were so low. I was like, here we go, and I actually thought it was a different take. That's my whole thing. If you're going to remake something, make it better, or at the very, very least, make it very, very different. And I thought that what he did well, again, I didn't think it was a great film either, so I'm not really praising it, but I didn't think it was a colossal failure because he really did embrace the technological age we're in and showed it in the film, which is what Park Chan-wook did not do. So I thought that was kind of an interesting just kind of element that he incorporated. But no, it did not need to be made. But I disagree on the performances. I thought Josh Brolin was pretty solid in a bad film. You can only do so well with a bad script.
I still thought he was terrible in it. Okay, and that gets us to what I consider to be... remember, all those films were in no particular order. So the films I've mentioned here are Battle of the Year, Old Boy, White House Down, A Good Day to Die Hard, After Earth, Gangster Squad, A Haunted House, R.I.P.D., and The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones. Those are all in no particular order, but the one that is in order as my number one absolute, no questions asked, worst film of the year, and this isn't going to strike anybody as a big surprise, Movie 43.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my... I'm one of those guys who I'm like, no, you watch. It's going to be funny.
Yeah.
And I tried. It was one of the only 3 films in my life I have walked out of. And I walked out of it less than an hour into it. I just could not take it anymore.
You made an hour into it? Wow.
Not quite. I didn't quite get an hour into it. And I was there with our buddy Soul. For those
Who likes everything that you don't?
It seems like it, doesn't it? And I was there with our buddy Soul, and I'm like, and he talked me into going to see it. But I thought it looked like there could be some good laughs. And I was like, this is so bad. And close to maybe 45 minutes into it, I just turned to him and said, I can't take it anymore. And I left the theater and I went and waited in our office for him to come out.
Farrelly Brothers, right?
Yes. And 1 or 2 other directors as well.
I watched I think 15 minutes on Netflix, and then I was like, no. Once I got to that scene with Anna Faris and Chris Pratt in the bedroom, I was like, see you later.
Yeah, so I don't mind gross, and I don't mind pushing those limits, but it wasn't gross funny. And funny. It was just gross, and it was like, none of this is making me even giggle. This is just stupid.
I'm so glad you brought up Chris Pratt, though. Can we talk about his little cameo, small role in Her.
Oh yeah.
He was so good in Her.
He's
good in everything.
If it wasn't for Guardians of the Galaxy, I'd say he was making a career out of being really good in little small roles.
I
Because
love
we saw him
him.
in Moneyball. We saw him have a pretty
Delivery
good
Man.
Delivery Men, Zero Dark 30, just a number of films.
Yeah.
But now he's transitioning to
Star-Lord, just a little role.
Star-Lord.
Just a little guy.
If he can knock it out of the park.
He's going to. I believe in you, Pratt.
Then we'll see how that goes. All right, guys. So we have reached the end of our third hour. Yes, we've reached the end of hour number 3. We're heading into the fourth hour. So what we need to do now, as I've explained before, YouTube doesn't allow us to stream 24 hours straight, so we have to take a short break here. We're going to stop the broadcast. Then we're going to start it up again in about 5 to 10 or 11 minutes, and you'll see it on the front page of our YouTube channel, youtube.com/AMC Theaters. And I'll tweet out, and if you don't follow me on Twitter, let me just bring this up here. Follow me on Twitter at John Campia. I will tweet out the exact URL to come back to the new to the live stream, or you can just go to our front page on YouTube, youtube.com/AMC Theaters, and you'll see it there and start watching this again. So for now, we're going to take a short break, reset it, upload this one to YouTube, and we'll be rolling again here in about 10 minutes. Come back and join us. While you're waiting, follow me on Twitter there to see the link. But also while you're waiting, head on over to crowdrise.com/AMC Movie News Philippines and donate now. We just cracked $10,000 raised, and now we have cracked... We're now at $10,222.
And we're going for 15.
And we're going for 15.
Then 17.
And then 17 and then 25. But thank you guys so much for joining us here today, donating. We're going to come back with a 2-hour mailbag segment. Going to have Amy Rose Eisenbach, Aaron Darling. Dennis is going to take a little bit of a break, give us a throat a break before he comes back on. John Schnepp will be joining us later. So once again, come back in about 10 minutes. Check for the URL on my Twitter, or just go to our front page of YouTube. Thank you very much, guys. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We'll see you soon.